Ehret Celebration, show your love for Johnny Gonzalez.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Spira, Brother Ehret. Thank you guys very much for inviting me to this great event. I sure do hope that all of you guys take as much information as you can from each speaker. Being in the presence of like-minded individuals, understanding that wherever you're at on this globe, you're not alone. I know that if you practice this system, chances are you're probably one of few in your area. So take what you can and expand from where you're at. That's the biggest part of this. So without further ado, I would like you guys to do me a favor and just stand up real quick. Because this information sometimes just goes by like this. So we got to make sure that we're alert. So I'd like you to put your hands above your head and go ahead and rise your tippy toes. Just hold that real quick. And go to put your hands back down and place them behind your head and just reach up. Shoulder shrugs back. Little side twist. Little knees to the chest. And hands on the hips and just lean back. All right, go ahead and have a seat. Okay. So, you should already feel better. What we're going to go through today is based on Ehret's work, but there's a lot of additional things that I personally feel that are needed to understand when going through your own transition. Everybody's at different levels. There's no one size fits all for us. It's everybody has to adjust and make modifications based on where they're at. The movement aspect of this, we've talked throughout the day about the health. We've talked about the nutrition. We've talked about what it takes through transition to get to where you need to be to heal all ailments of ill health. But the movement aspect it's not really aware. It's not, we have such a corrupted system that even physical fitness and the education based on that is incorrect, in my opinion. So, considering that I have a background in athletics, when I started bodybuilding, it was just about how I looked. It had nothing to do with how I felt on the inside. So being able to step away from that and come into this reality, it really shifted the mindset. Now, when you're considering vitality, that's your energy source. That's what gives you life. That's what gives you the thoughts. That's what gives you your energy to do your daily activities. That's what gives you everything that you are. That's your vitality. When you try to increase that, sometimes we depend on things to do that. Stimulants. Everything that you eat stimulates the body. When you understand the physiology of the body, and this is why it's so hard to get out of the system, because everything that we do, in a sense, is bad for us. So we have to recognize that while we're going through the transition to be able to make the changes necessary to overcome whatever obstacles that we have and that are dealing with. Now, as a detoxification specialist, we are taught about the body very in-depthly. Because of that, we can define symptoms to organs and glands. But along with that, there comes a big connecting piece that also has to be considered, and that's the mental and emotional states. We, at times, tend to forget that when we're suffering. When you're in pain, there's imbalances in your physical body, but there are also imbalances mentally and emotionally. Most of us are dealing with that on a day-to-day basis, And sometimes it's not even conscious. We don't even realize that we have issues that we've suppressed our whole lives. So they form in the physical with sickness, with different symptoms in the body based on the genetics of your makeup. So in physical fitness through a superior diet, if physical culture of any kind is combined with this system, the elimination can be enforced rapidly. After the body is once clean, free from any waste or poison, when all obstructions are removed from the human machine, then the physical culturist will develop a strength, endurance, and beauty of a solid muscular proportion, and at that same time enjoy a mental and spiritual progress equaling that of the classic period of the Hellenic age. So you see right here, he's not just saying it's one thing. It's not just physical. There's a mental side of this. There's a spiritual side to this. When you consider it from this perspective, you also understand that the body's in your favor all of the time. No matter what you do, no matter how you treat it, it's always fighting for you to live. We neglect that because of distractions. If you notice the way our society is set up, it's always outwardly distracted. It's always focusing on the things that are happening, not focusing on what's happening on the inside. Now, this Hellenic age, I want to bring that up right now in this next slide. If you notice on the left, what's modern man? Individuals today are typically overweight. Obesity is at the highest that it's been ever. Brother Ehret said in the early 1900s, hey, if you took a picture in any town or city, you're gonna see individuals that were not overweight. Now you can't do that anymore. That Hellenic age photo right there is of 3 individuals who are very defined and muscular. Understanding they had a completely different lifestyle. They were eating foods that were natural. So when Ehret talks about this concept of getting back to this age, it's not just the physical, as I mentioned. There's deeper levels to this that we'll get into. The ignorance regarding the most important things in life, the health and perfection of the body, is indescribable. We suffer from a sort of psychic defect, failing to realize how important health is. Reviewing that, we are programmed to be a certain way. We are programmed to follow the society that has been laid out for us generation after generation, even though it's incorrect. Now, when you look at day-to-day functions, day-to-day lives, who's really active? And that's something that, working with clients, sometimes I feel like a counselor, where it's like we have to bring things to the surface to assist you in your progression, because we overlook things or we don't see it for ourselves. So being able to address certain things requires you to look within yourself. One thing that I tell all clients to do is get naked and stand in front of a mirror. Look at your body, and if you don't like it, everything you've done leading up to that day has created that body. Whether you have eaten correctly or not eaten correctly, whether you have been active or whether you haven't been active, that's the result of what you have done as the individual. So take it as a kind of like a wake-up call. Just analyze yourself, because you don't have to worry about anybody else. Going back to the society, we're programmed to think, I want these people to like me, or I want these people to love me, or I want to be accepted. But you don't even accept yourself. If you've let your body go, or you're not happy with yourself, that is because of what you've done. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Maybe you've been distracted by others, or maybe you've been influenced to be a certain way, but that's still your doing. And we have to learn to accept that. And once you do, you start to really understand what you need to do during this transition to correct it. If you notice over here, look at those gains right there. Arnold Ehret had. You guys see that? Look at that definition right there. Dang, okay. I personally do not even consider the physical culturist man of muscle of classic type beautiful and as a standard for the ideal type of Germanic and Aryan races. Weight, shape, and especially circumference of the body are too great. Every accumulation of fat is pathological and in this measure, unesthetic. No animal living in freedom is upholstered with fat like our modern weightlifters and strongmen. The reason is simply too much food and too much fluid. Relaxation and clogging of the entire system of vessels are the natural consequences. Grape sugar of the fruits and their nutritive salts are the right sources for a firm muscle substance by which a body disfattened and dismucused by fasting can be quickly rebuilt. So, consider the ideal body for the average person. When you think about what is a guy supposed to look like? Nowadays, you go to a typical gym, they're going to say, oh, you got to have the biggest arms, you got to have the biggest chest, you have to walk around like a blow-up doll. But looking at it from Ehret's perspective, all of that muscle is not muscle. It's accumulation of poopy inside of you. So when we try to understand it from that angle, we realize that our society is, gosh, man, I mean, I have to always fall back on the sides because it's not anybody's fault indirectly. This is something that we're born into. So don't take offense to any of this because it's going to get deeper. But don't take offense to this. Just realize that this is just a wake-up call because wherever you're at on your path, with all this information you're receiving today, you're going to improve. You're going to take levels up. Whether you believe it or not, it's going to happen because this is information that's being downloaded subconsciously. So when looking at exercise from his angle, he's not a big person. He wasn't worried about getting all this muscle. But if you read his work, you realize he had endurance like no other. People tend to not consider the fact that the stuff that he was doing and that he mentions in his literature is that of an athlete. You're not just going to wake up one day and go walking for 56 straight hours. You're not going to bike ride 800 miles just because. You can't just wake up and do that. I mean, even the most elite athletes probably wouldn't be able to do that, who've been training years and years and years. So consider the fact that this man was into physical fitness as a primary source of I'm going to say even equally, because he uses them together. The diet and fitness, they go together. When you understand the way he views exercise, it's not about going in there and just bench pressing and lifting weights. It's about moving the body, moving the fluids. Along with that, though, there is a far more important aspect to this, which is air. But there's also an electric voltage type of life source that we have through our nervous system that responds to the body's circulatory system. So if we have obstructions in our blood and we have obstructions in our body and our lymphatic system, then our electrical currency is also obstructed. Not to mention, when you're eating dead foods, there is no life energy in that. If you look at the angstroms of fruits and vegetables and a piece of meat and a canned food, if you look at the light that is flickering from living foods, you're putting that into your body, you're receiving biophotons, which gives you a sense of connectiveness to nature, to life, which connects us to animals, which connects us to plants and the source of Mother Nature. That right there is God. That's our creator. We're so distant from understanding it from that perspective that now it's to a point where you got to just save yourself. And if you save yourself, you're going to redirect that to the children as well. So, as I mentioned, all of this is connected very closely. As shown in previous lessons, all physical treatments vibrate or shake the tissues and thereby stimulate the circulation in one way or another for the purpose and with the result of loosening and eliminating foreign matters, the cause of all diseases. The human body does this itself in the most perfect way. As soon as you fast or as soon as your blood composition has been changed by natural diet. So he's not saying that, oh, if you just eat fruits, you're going to get to where you're at. He's looking at it and saying that the elimination, the vibration of the tissues, it's all systematic. It all correlates with doing it correctly. In the next slide here, physical treatments and physical culture can therefore be combined with this diet and fasting to enforce and to hasten the elimination. However, I must advise that extreme care to be taken, not to exaggerate, especially on bad days of strong elimination. If you are tired and you feel bad, then rest and sleep just as much as you can. On the days that you feel good during a fast or strict diet, you may take some physical treatment also, such as exercise, baths, massage, deep breathing, etc. So this is not just go out there and just kill it. Go out there and just work as hard as you can. This is based on a system. Now, what I do with clients is we have to evaluate where you're at, because everybody's in a different position. Nobody's going to eat the same way. I mean, I've tried to find people that do, but no, nobody. Not one person as an individual, not one person in this room can have the same diet. It's just how it goes. Each of us are our own person. So there is no right or wrong to this. But you have to evaluate where you're at and what you need to be doing. Some of us need a slower transition. Some of us can endure a different transition. Some of us can be fasting already. Some of us, we're just going to just be eating fruits and vegetables. Some of us need cooked food. Some of us need, it all varies, especially when you're going through elimination. Now, elimination at times is a scary thing, especially in the beginning. For an example, when I first started doing enemas, I would freak out. I would freak out because I would be like, oh my gosh, all the water didn't come out. I feel like I'm flooding. And I'll tell this story. It's pretty funny, but at this time I was smoking the good stuff. I was smoking God's green herbs, a little too much at the time, but I had just smoked at the time. I got pretty high. And I was like, oh man, I feel too good. I'm going to do an enema. So I did my enema, and I had a bad experience. I felt that water go in me, and it was everywhere. I mean, I was just so I stopped smoking. But I also respected the enemas more. So respecting the elimination, it's part of this. You should look forward to elimination. You should look forward to getting waste out of your body, because this is how you're going to heal. But going back to the fitness aspect to this, most individuals, even if they are in shape, they're not in the correct shape. Now, I'm not saying that, oh, you have to do this to be, or you have to do spinning to be in shape, or you have to run 1,000 miles to be in shape, or you have to lift all this weight to be in shape. We practice movement-based training, where, okay, I'm going to see where you're at and how well you can move, and I'm going to make you move better. And if you decide to go and be a professional basketball player with it, good. If you decide to go run a marathon, good. If you decide to go do yoga, good. That's not for me to decide. That's for you to decide. I'm just going to make sure you move good. Because the better you move and the more comfortable and free your body is, that's going to make you want to do more. So I get individuals who have come to me and who have difficulty walking, who can't bend down and touch their toes, who can't, everybody stand up again real quick and drop into this position right here. This is a baby squat right here. If you have a dress on, I'm sorry. So this position right here, I tell everybody this, hey, get in a baby squat. Let me see you get in a baby squat. And most individuals, they can't hold this position. I can give this whole presentation in this position because it's a resting position. But for most individuals, because we lack the ability to move, it becomes an exercise. So in training, I try to make you I make you get to this position to show you that this position has a lot of benefits for your health, which if you go to other cultures, if you go to other countries, this is a normal position because there's not these things called chairs there. So along with that, considering the fact that wherever you're at, you're not stuck there. If you can't do this, or you struggle to do this, or you struggle to stay away from these bad foods, that's okay. It doesn't matter. Just make a better decision today. Win the day. That's a big thing right there. Win the day. Today, you know what? I didn't exercise today, and I didn't eat good today. I go to sleep, and I'm all sad, and I wake up the next day, I'm like, you know what? I got this day today. Have a good breakfast. Fruit, of course. And then have a salad for lunch, and then I have another salad for dinner. And I feel good. I won that day. Repeat it. It's almost too simple. Sometimes it just, like I said, it just flies right past you. It's because our mind is very complex. It likes to look for things and analyze things differently in different ways, and sometimes that's not the best way for us to evolve. Speaking of the mind, your thinking, your ideals, your aspirations, and your philosophy change fundamentally in such a way as to beggar description. Your soul will shout for joy and triumph over all misery of life, leaving it all behind you. For the first time, you will feel a vibration of vitality through your body, like a slight electric current that shakens you delightfully. So, that has nothing to do with food. That has to do with results from eating and living correctly. When I originally got involved with Ehret and started to allow this information to download personally, I was in a very, very bad position, mentally and emotionally. It took me to a very, very dark place. And because of that, it forced me to do something. Everybody encounters this. We just encounter it in different levels. We experience it in different ways based on our lifestyles, based on the people we're around, based on how we express ourselves. But all of that has to do with the root cause of obstructions in the body. You remove the obstructions in the body, and you stay consistent to this path, you'll wake up one day and be alarmed by how you perceive reality. One day, you could be triggered by somebody doing this, and then one day you wake up and you're not triggered by it anymore. Or you come across thinking patterns that are destructive to yourself, that harm yourself. Your stress, your worry, your anxiety, your anger, all of that is due to obstructions in the body. But at the same time, it's a mental thing before it is a physical thing. So if you can just be aware of it and say, you know what? I'm gonna work on this. I'm not gonna be angry anymore. I'm gonna do what's next. I mean, you start figuring out for yourself. I'm not gonna say what you have to do, meditation, prayer, read a book, I don't know, whatever. It don't matter. Again, I'm not here to make you do this. I'm making you understand it so you can figure it out for yourself. When that happens, all of a sudden, it starts to make more sense. As you start to clean your body out, everything starts to make more sense. Back to being in that position of very dark place, cleaning up the body, all of a sudden things start to change. Reality starts to change. You start to experience happiness. There's times when I feel so happy. I don't even know why, and it doesn't even matter. It could be in any situation. I've gone to funerals like this, and I'm like, I feel happy, but I can't do nothing about it. One time, bless my man Irvin, one of my clients, he came with me and my brother. He was about 79 at the time. Old man, you could he moved like this. He couldn't do nothing. He was with us until he was 87, yeah. And we got him in shape. We got him moving good. We built this relationship with him, with all our clients, and we have that love and that passion. Well, on his funeral, so many memories came of just love that I couldn't help but be happy. And I was literally hysterically laughing. I had to leave the funeral home, but it's hard to be sad. It's hard for someone to hurt you. And when you get to that point where you're not really fazed by what's going on, you no longer care what others think or say or feel about you, because you're happy with yourself. You know you're on the path. You're on the path of righteousness. You're on the path to clean your body up and take care of yourself and get to this position where you could be like this all of the time. Peace on earth. The end of all wars, happiness, and righteousness remain a foolish dream. During thousands of years, God, heaven, paradise, sin, devil, hell, seldom found an interpretation that a clear, reasoning mind would willingly accept. We are taught to believe that on an all-forgiving God will allow a man to enter paradise in another world, unpunished for any of the violations of his laws and nature. I have proven for the first time in modern history that a paradisiacal, I'm still struggling with that word, diet on a fresh fruits is not only possible, but that it is an unconditional necessity for the rehabilitation of a degenerate mankind such as we have now found ourselves. It is the first step to real salvation and redemption from the many ailments and miseries of life. This, then, is the key to the lost paradise where disease, worry, and sorrow and hate, fighting and murder were unknown, a condition at least where there was no death from unnatural causes. So this is Garden of Eden, that living amongst each other in a state of happiness and love, that's real. Think about this right here. Who here has been arguing today? Who's been, oh man, this guy's that, and this person's this, and it hasn't been like that. Today has been a complete day of just love, of appreciation, of humbleness, of gratitude. This is how life should be all the time. Now, when we get to the next talk, we're talking about the village, and we're talking about getting to that place where we can actually surround ourselves with that and live in that. Think how that's going to raise everybody up. Think about being around people that are always raising you up. Because I know you go home and you got a baby's mama, you got a husband or somebody that's always making you angry and pissing you off and doing this and doing that. And there's a lot to the equation that is just, it's like, oh man, I got to go pay my bills, I got to do this, and this person cut me off, Rachel, and there's a lot of stuff to this that. There's a lot of stuff to this that we just don't know. But Ehret knew it though. He knew it because he got there. And he was taking people there by the thousands. because this is how you get back to that level of existence where it's beyond the physical. Now, we could save ourselves, we could save our generation. We just need more people to do it. Next year when we do this again, hey, you're going to bring 3 or 4 people. More people are going to be inclined to come. After seeing these presentations today, it's going to happen sooner or later, hopefully in our lifetime. If not, for sure, our next generation, for sure. But if you check out of this live, okay. At least you're checking out knowing that you at least got this information and you started to make changes with yourself to get to the next level. Because that's important. Don't think that you're stuck in this physical body and once you're out, you're out. No, this is only I'm not going to say it's the beginning, but it will carry you over to your next journey on life, whatever that may be for you. Nothing is easier than making promises merely by saying words, and nothing is more difficult than actually living up to these easily made promises day after day. What you promise today must be redecided tomorrow. For you and no one else but you must decide the want to live. This right here should stick with you, because you could do great today, and you could be loving today, and you could line up all your ducks and be great, and then tomorrow your mom comes and she's all pissed at you, and now you're like, oh, I'm just going to go eat this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to do nothing. And you lost that day. And on that scale, if you don't keep it balanced or you don't keep it in the correct way, it's going to tilt, and it's going to fall to your disliking. And that's where disease comes. That's where sickness comes. So I want to now touch on movement, because a lot of people are just misguided with information about it, not really understanding what they need to do as an individual. Now, I hope you just take whatever you need from this information, because this is, like I said, it's not just about fitness or exercise or movement. This goes beyond that. There's a lot of levels to this that our comprehension has to allow us to accept. But living in the physical, your ass has to be moving. When you come out of the womb, the first thing you do is you're doing this and you're trying to move. Think about the development of a baby. They roll over, they sit up. You take that baby that's in that level, and I'm sure you can grab your daughter right now and you could put her leg above her head, and it would be very simple for her. They have no obstructions necessarily in the body at the time. That's why little kids are so flimsy, and you could move them in any variations. But as they get a little older, they move a little less, especially nowadays where kids are just like this all day long, indoors all day long. That movement becomes less and less and less. So when you look at the concept of movement, you are eliminating when you move. Your body is a fluid-based system, okay? When you move, that fluid also moves. So it's very simple. The more you move, the more that fluid moves. Now, there will be days where you may overdo it, but this is the key right here. You only move to feel good. You don't move to get tired. You don't move to fatigue yourself. When you fatigue yourself, you're exercising. You move to that point where you're like, I feel good, and you stop. With all your exercises, little by little, your endurance builds up. Along with that, you're not taxing your body to have strong eliminations. You're just moving it enough to allow it to continue the circulation. Now, you can do that for a while. And to be honest, most of my clients, if they come to me and they can't walk, they're walking in a week or two. There's a lot of pinpoints and passages in the body that are accessible to alterations or changes, especially understanding that the body it's separated into two parts, your left side and your right side. It's the same concept in iridology. If you look at the iris, it tells you the story of your body internally. So when it comes to movement, we have to focus on the first thing is what sustains your body all day, all night when you're moving. Your feet. Most individuals' feet struggle. Most people have feet problems, especially if you're wearing shoes, because your toes are like this, but chances are they're like this right now if you're wearing shoes. I'm a strong advocate of take your damn shoes off, don't wear them. It's as simple as that. Get yourself barefoot shoes. Big change. Especially if you have pressure points in your body that cause pain. You go barefoot for a week or two, you're going to see a big difference without doing nothing extra. So it starts right there with your feet. Love your feet, because your feet carry you around everywhere you go. So you love your feet more. That's like I said, that's the biggest one right there. Just by doing that alone, you're going to feel better. Then you come to, everybody's got knee problems, everybody's got hip problems, my back hurts, I can't bend. Well, you got to look upstream, you got to look downstream. Where are your kidneys at? I hear this, my back hurts, I was lifting too heavy yesterday. Man, shut up, fool, your kidneys are down right now. Your kidneys are inflamed. That's what's wrong with you. That right there is your elimination organs for your lymphatic system. So when you are putting all this pus and mucus in your body, and the acids form up, and your kidneys are taking the beating, they're throbbing, they're in pain. So you're going to feel pain as well. But that's not a thing to look at as a bad thing. It's a check engine light. Remember that. Pain is only a check engine light. Symptoms are check engine lights. Hey, something's wrong. If you don't address it, it's going to get worse. So each person has that individual responsibility to figure that out for themselves. When you go through this transition, the diet is necessary because we are programmed to eat. We're programmed to live a certain way. So we feel we need it. So you can't just start fasting and then be mentally and emotionally stable. You'll experience things that will surface that will cause you to, I can't do this anymore. I got to go get my chips. I got to go get my whatever it is that I go to, because there's imbalances. So when you transition correctly, you control all of that. And if you look through the book, there's a lot of good stuff in there that you can go to. Personally, I'm a baked banana person. At the end of the day, and I need something, I'm gonna throw me some baked bananas in there, and I'm gonna enjoy that. And I feel full, I feel content, and what do you know? I'm consistently eating this type of diet that it's filling me up. I feel emotionally sound. I feel stable, and that's what you want. Some days it'll be worse, some days it'll be less. But hey, it's enema time, right, Brother Ehret? You pull out your enema kit. Don't be afraid of that. I'm going to start enema fitness, baby. Let's go. We'll do some enemas, and we'll do some exercise. And so there's a big responsibility for elimination that we just have to just embrace it. Not everybody is looking to be at the high levels of fasting. Don't get me wrong, fasting is the key to healing. There is not anything above that. But that's nature's way, though, of curing. But if you're not suffering, you don't need to be doing 3-day, 4-day, 5-day fast. dry fast, or extensive long periods of fruit. You don't need to be doing things that are going to get you out of whack. But this goes back to the individual. Read the literature, read the work, understand that Ehret is not just saying go and do that. You have to be smart about this. A lot of individuals they want to do something because it's online, because it's on Instagram, or because they want to be famous for some reason in that world. But it's not about healing. I know quite a bit of individuals that are raw veganists, but they're eating nuts and seeds every single day. They're having all these dehydrated dishes with 3 cups of cashew sauce and all this stuff that is, it's not gonna heal them. If anything, it's gonna just, it's for their ego. Their ego is being, oh, I'm all raw, look, I haven't eaten no cooked foods, or I'm not gonna eat no steamed vegetables. That's for people who don't know what they're doing. No, but these people haven't read Ehret's work, obviously. So take all this into consideration. Realize that your body is designed to move. We are natural movers. If you cannot run 100 miles a day, you're not in shape. There's an individual named Stephen West who wrote a book, The 7 Principles Plus One, who is an advocate of Arnold Ehret. A lot of his testimonials are individuals, including Teresa Mitchell, who is in his book. And he talks about trapped blood proteins, which is just obstructions in the body. But the understanding that the more you move, when you're circulating that system, your body's eliminating. It's the waste is being, in a sense, eaten. Okay? So this is why if you just exercise to that point of or if you move to that point of not exercising, where you're not trying to fatigue yourself and you're not trying to really kill yourself in a sense of working out to full capacity, your body will eliminate, but it'll also recover and give you endurance and give you that vitality that we're all seeking. Now, how do you lose weight? How do you build muscle? I want to end with that because that sometimes is more important for individuals, because your physical appearance, that's who you are. As I said, sometimes we don't take that into consideration and we lack on that self-love. So if I can just make you look better, you're going to feel better. So individuals that are overweight or that are fat, you're not overweight and you're not fat. You're just filled with waste. Your body stores fat to wrap around, or for the toxins to wrap around. So it pushes the toxins away from your vital organs. So this is why individuals could just gain weight and they can't lose it. It's because your body is acidic. It's because your body's chemistry is that of, it's not safe for you to lose this fat. The second you start transitioning and you start eating correctly, the weight should come off. If it doesn't come off, understand you have some deep stuff in there that needs to come out. So don't think this is going to happen overnight. But for most individuals coming on to our program, you're going to lose 20, 30 pounds in a couple months. That's almost, our last promotion was hey, it's guaranteed, or I'll give you your money back. Because when you understand all of this information, you can get your body to look good. It doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter where you're at, but it comes with transition. It comes with movement. It comes with activity. Activity daily and consistently. When you're dead, you don't have to move no more. Think about it like that. While you're alive, you want to move as much as you possibly can. As much as you possibly can. Get out in the sun and move. Sweat. Don't be hesitant to think that you have to do a program or you have to be a part of some gym or do this. No, just move daily. stand up, sit down, lay on the floor, stand back up, do 1 push-up, do 2 push-ups, do a sit-up, play with it, hang for a while. If you have some dumbbells, start curling, start doing some presses, play with it, because your body will respond to what you do with it. When you develop the body, it's like you're taking a sculpture and you're sculpting it. And if you want this to look a certain way, you're going to do this. If you want the colors over here to be different, you're going to do it. That's our own responsibility. That has to do with what you want to do with your body. A lot of individuals, especially guys that are more on the slender side, that, oh man, I lift weight and I do this, but I can't get the gains. I can't develop my body. Well, there is a thing called malabsorption as well that prevents you from gaining, because your small intestines, where all your absorption takes place, hey, that's clogged up. And your body's not able to ingest what it needs to grow. Go back to the transition though, because if you start cleaning your body out and you start eating correctly, your body will eliminate and you will be able to balance yourself out. So, at the end of this, I just want everybody to evaluate themselves, because that's what it comes down to. We're all in this together, we're all at different levels, but the important concept to get is that you are responsible for yourself. If you take that and you run with that, you're going to get yourself well. Whatever you're dealing with, physically, mentally, emotionally, it's going to be resolved. But it's nobody's responsibility but yourselves. I can't stress that enough. Thank you.